Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 591 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm so happy to be with you. Thanks for hanging out. I sometimes imagine that you're sitting having your coffee with your feet tucked underneath you, or maybe you're on your daily walk or driving along in your car. Whatever it is, I am glad that you're here, and I'm glad that I am here with you because it means that you're working towards being your best self. And it's so good to surround ourselves with people that are doing that because it lifts us up. And sometimes we need that. I mean, humans are social animals. We thrive being with people who are sort of playing on a higher frequency. But we aren't always going to be on that higher frequency ourselves. Not always. And that's okay because we're humans. We're not going to be perfect. And as humans, I think we have to give each other grace because we're evolving and we're growing and we're adapting as we go along. But along with that, and I do talk about this a lot, we have to be included in that. We have to give ourselves grace too. We tend to beat ourselves up thinking that we should be perfect, that we should think perfectly, that we should never have a bad thought about someone else or even think about doing something vindictive. I mean, who hasn't been there? This has been on my mind this week, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. It's a not so flattering story that I overcame, so it ends up positive. But this is why we have to not only give others grace, but also give it to ourselves because we're evolving and growing, which is important in us being our best, most wildly successful self. Grow so that we begin to notice our thoughts, but we stop letting them run the show. So our thoughts are there, we notice them, but they're not telling us what to do anymore. We don't have to act on every thought we have. We decide consciously what we are and are not going to put out into the universe. And having not so pure thoughts is human, but it's our lower frequency aspect. Not acting on them is human consciousness acting from our higher frequency. Now, I'll give you my example. So my family is all getting together this weekend. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to a Chicago Cubs game. So it's my whole immediate family and then my dad's sister and all his and all her children and their spouses. So it's going to be a lot of fun. My parents will be there and my siblings. And this is all of us except for my sister, who I've talked about many times on this podcast. If you've listened to it from the get-go, you know that we have a sister that doesn't have anything really to do with us because a majority of the family is not in her religion any longer. So it's heartbreaking, but it's her path, and I have had to learn to respect that, even though it stings a little bit. So when we have these family get-togethers and she's not there, I have often had thoughts to myself that, I'm going to take these pictures that we're taking of the whole family when we're all together looking happy and hugging and feeling connected, and I'm going to send them to her. And I thought to myself, that's what I'm going to do. I've thought about that many times. Now, I could just act like it's innocent, say something like, missing you, or wish you were here, and make it seem like it was something sweet. But deep down, my intention would not be that. It's not a sweet intention at all. It's trying to shame her or make her feel bad or make her feel isolated. It doesn't come from a good place, that thought. So ultimately, I don't ever send those pictures to her because I know my intention is wrong. I know my intention isn't from a pure place, so I don't act on it. Now, the act of sending it might seem harmless or maybe even loving on the surface, but the intention behind it matters. To me, it matters. It matters in terms of what you're putting out into the universe, what I am putting out into the universe when I do something like that. Now, this brings me to a bigger point. Only do things from pure intentions if you can. I mean, we may have thoughts that aren't pure, and that's okay. That's human. But we can acknowledge them and then choose to act purely. We don't have to act on every thought we have, and I know that we don't. But it's like hitting pause on that impulse and asking yourself, what's really driving this? I mean, why am I doing this? Is it from love? Is it a place for love? Or is it something else? Now, in my case, it was something else. It was probably a mix of hurt and resentment bubbling up from a deeper place. But by noticing that, I could let it go without spreading that energy, because that's not the kind of energy I want to spread. And it's not the kind of energy I want to put out so that I'm getting it back. So we had to talk about that. Why this matters. We need to really think about it on a deeper level. Now, I mentioned earlier higher frequency versus lower frequency, because we all have that. Like we at different times in our life will be, working from higher frequency. Sometimes we're working from lower frequency, and we can feel the difference, because this concept has transformed how I approach my thoughts and actions. So I love to pull a lot of different ideas from different people that I follow or that I've read a lot about or listened to quite a bit. So usually it's Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, or Esther Hicks, stuff like the law of attraction or vibrational living. But basically everything we do, everything we say, everything we think carries a frequency, like a vibe or an energy wave. So higher frequency stuff is aligned with love and gratitude, compassion and joy. Those pure intentions I was just talking about. It feels light, feels expansive, and it attracts more of the same into your life. Now that lower frequency, on the other hand, that gets its root from like fear, anger, shame, jealousy. It feels kind of heavy, feels constricting, and it pulls in more negativity. So think about this. If I had sent those pictures to my sister with that shady intention, I would be operating from a lower frequency. Even if no one else knew, I would know, and that energy would linger. Now, it might make me feel momentarily satisfied, like I got back at her for the distance that she's created, but in the long run, it would lower my own vibe, maybe even invite more family drama or inner turmoil. Instead, by choosing not to act on that, I'm shifting to a higher frequency. I'm choosing grace for her, for the situation, and for myself. And that opens up space for healing, maybe even reconciliation down the line. Who knows? I've seen this play out in many areas of my own life. Take relationships, for example. How many times have you wanted to shoot off a snarky text to someone, or maybe to a friend who let you down, or to your husband who said something when you left that you didn't like? And when that thought pops up, bam, that's lower frequency. But if you notice it and kind of breathe through it and respond or not respond from a place of understanding, you're elevating everything. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're tempted to gossip about a coworker to feel better about your own frustrations. You can acknowledge that thought and still act purely. You can focus on your own growth instead. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. And let's not forget self-grace in all of this. What I was talking about earlier, we have to give ourselves grace, because we beat ourselves up so much for having those bad thoughts in the first place. I used to do that constantly, judge myself for even considering sending those photos. I'm like, man, I've got so much growing to do. But now I just see it as a signal. It's my mind's way of processing hurt, and that's valid. The key is to not let it dictate my actions, which could cause more hurt for myself. To give yourself permission to be human and to evolve at your own pace. Now, I think social media is a real good example too of where we can fall into a lower frequency very easily, like posting passive aggressive comments that could be taken either way. Maybe you're trying to make a point to someone, but you don't want to deal with it head on, so you give your little backhanded comment. Or maybe you post these pictures or videos of yourself trying to make yourself feel a certain way, and maybe show that girl you went to school with that wasn't so nice to you what an amazing life you have compared to hers. Because she's watching every post you have, or you think she is anyway. See, I used to post a lot, and I started realizing that my intentions sometimes were for my ego to be validated when I posted. And when it was, when it was validated, I would be on a high. But when it wasn't, I would feel upset, or I'm confused. Like, what was wrong with that post? Nobody seemed to really, connect with it. Now I try to check my intentions before I do most things. It's an eye-opener when you start realizing how often you have thoughts and you're going to do something from our lower frequency if we aren't careful. Now, I kind of stopped posting altogether on certain sites because I realized I really needed to check myself more often than not. My little sister and I laughed so hard because I sent her a video of a guy that normally it's a really funny video, but he's sitting in his car, and it has the words at the bottom, and it says basically me trying to be my best self. And he normally has road rage, but he's been trying to be a better person. So instead of cussing and yelling at people, as he starts to do it, he catches himself mid yelling and stops. And he says, instead of whatever he was going to say, I will not repeat it, but he says, I forgive you. Have a good day. And it's just killing him to do that. Now he's being funny, but that matters. Every time you check yourself and decide to not, throw up the bird in the car, or yell at the person in front of you and call them an idiot, or not to gossip, or to forgive, or to love anyway, those are higher frequency actions. I mean, that's higher frequency inaction, and that is contagious, and it changes things. So next time a thought arises that feels off, maybe road rage on your commute, or maybe a little bit of envy scrolling through Instagram, and you want to post a comment about it, or just notice it and say to yourself, okay, there's that thought. Not so great. What's the pure action here? Maybe that is taking a deep breath and not posting the comment. Maybe it's just doing nothing and sending good vibes to that person. Or it could be turning off your phone and going outside for a walk and clearing your head. Over time, this builds, and your default becomes higher frequency living. And trust me, the universe responds. I mean, opportunities flow, relationships deepen, and you feel more aligned. We're all works in progress. Give grace to others, but mostly give grace to yourself as well. Notice those impure thoughts, but choose pure actions and aim for that higher frequency, and watch how it elevates your whole life. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who could use a positive hip check. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.